disappointing evening, I guess, for you guys. Obviously for the fans, we heard them at the end. What was lacking tonight in such an important game?
I think first half we never had enough intensity in the game. We're too slow, too passive with and without the ball, and that gives them a bit of encouragement in the game. It makes the place anxious, and then it sort of snowballs from there. But second half, we started the half really well. We're on the front foot for the whole second half. We just lacked that bit of quality to get the goal to open the game up. But listen, we've still got another game, so it's 0-0 in the tie. We never lost, so we have to go there next week and win, and that's no problem.
Can you put your finger on why it took that 45 minutes to get up to that to the speed of the game? Given again the magnitude of this, the manager said he wanted to start this game with intensity, and that's not what happened.
Yeah. Well, of course we start with the best intentions. We try and go out there and dominate the game, but sometimes it doesn't look like that. They were a wee bit man to man. Give us a spare centre back, and then it's stepping through and trying to connect the game. But we were a little bit too wide. We got ourselves stuck on the side of the pitch, and then you got to dribble back and start again. So the connections weren't quite there to get us through the sort of middle part of the game, and that's what slowed it down. That's what gave them momentum in the game. It was too slow, and then second half, like I said, much more like ourselves. But we have to try and do that from the start of the game, and it's not the result or the performance that we want, but we still have another game, and now it's on us to go there and qualify.
You're right, you're still in the tie, but you heard the supporters, the frustration. I was just passing a couple of them walking out. It's evident, it's palpable in here. Is that translating to you guys on the pitch? Is that making a difference in terms of how you're feeling? That you mentioned the word anxiety. Is that coming through?
No, for the group. We've been playing really well. We're coming into the game. It's a big game, of course. We don't start the game well, and that's where the sort of anxiety, because we know how much everyone wants it. Everyone wants to be in the Champions League, so when that starts to fester through the stadium, of course then the players feel it, but it's our job to try and block that out and keep playing. But second half, much better. There wasn't any anxiety in the second half. We were there ready to play. We just never quite at the moment that opened up the game for us. And
just finally, a 7,000 mile round trip. You've never won in Kazakhstan. What's going to be different next week?
We have to win. Simple as that.
Appreciate your time.
Cheers.
Simple as that, and that is very much the case for the Celtic captain and his teammates. A lack of intensity, though, passive, those are not aspects you usually hear labelled at Celtic teams. Was this perhaps an example of that unique pressure that goes with this tie? I mean, a lot of players in this group haven't experienced this. They've gone straight into the Champions League in previous seasons.
Maybe so, but I wouldn't think so, because the Brendan Rodgers teams, they always play the same way with, really aggressive pressing. They move the ball quickly. They have great runners in the team. So there was nothing new for them. Every single player in every single position playing under Brendan Rodgers knew exactly what the manager expects from him. So no, I wouldn't say so. I just think they're not really more in than in the second or third gear of the season. They haven't really built up that understanding together. But I think in second half they started off so much more brighter. I think it was great move, putting Young in instead of Adam Idaho, because Young is more mobile. But in the end of the night, I'm going to come back to this. You play at home at Celtic Park, you have to create much more, clear-cut chances. They didn't.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned the changes there at half-time. Yang came on, Maeda moved into the middle with Adam Ida being substituted. And really, Celtic, they came out flying out the blocks, and Yang had an immediate impact for us at the post.
No, they did. And it was a great save as well, from the goalkeeper. You can see Yang here, moving the ball over to James Forrest. Good left-foot shot, but it's a great save, though. We have to, give him credit. You can see his fingertips just off the post. But that was a glorious chance, though.
Yeah, and again, Yang having an immediate impact here. It's just the chance game. Celtic moved the ball quicker, didn't they, in the second half? And it suits how they play much better.
Oh, exactly. But I think they're still going to, scratch their heads, because they had like 14, 15 corners, I think. But they didn't really, except for Liam Scales' header, they really, create anything from the corners. And that obviously we saw the glorious chance in the end. Maeda, he was really tired, though. You could see he was nearly cramping up, So, I'm not going to be too negative when it comes to that chance.
I mean, the night could have been worse, because Kairat did carve out their own opportunities. Maybe we need to be giving them a little bit more credit for the performance that they put in. But what about this? You rarely see a mistake like this from Cameron Carter-Vickers, and they almost managed to take advantage.
It would have been a float goal, but it's a great chip from Edmilson. He sees the opening, he sees obviously it's a mistake from Carter-Vickers losing the ball, and he's trying to chip it over Schmeichel. But it would have been typical though on a night, but Celtic obviously didn't create that much, and was maybe at their best. It would have been typical with a goal like that, getting in. But apart from that, you have to give them credit. They were very good defensively. They really fight for each other. They were very narrow. It was difficult for Celtic, to really open them up. But on the other hand, they have some, dangerous players, but one of them is not going to play next game.
No, he's not, and we'll come to that in a second. But let me just ask you about Alistair Johnson's injury, because that is a real blow for Brendan Rodgers. He pulled up with what looks to be a hamstring injury in the first half. I mean, he looked really upset, didn't he, as he was stretchered off? I mean, that is now another position that Brendan Rodgers needs to fill.
Exactly, and obviously possession, he doesn't want to think about another player, because Alistair Johnson has been so good, under Brendan Rodgers and for Celtic, and it's probably a hamstring tear, even if I'm not an expert, but watching them pictures, it looks like it's a hamstring tear in probably like 3 months.
And that's the thing, isn't it? We already spoke about Brendan looking for a right back, a left winger, a left back, a left winger, a right winger. Now you would imagine he's going to have to dip into the market to get a right back as cover for Anthony Ralston. Yeah,
I think they have to, because even whatever happens next week, they have a lot of different. Domestically, you have 3 cups and 3 tournaments to play in, and they need to be very competitive. That's what the fans expect. That you're going to have a lot of competition in the squad. So yes, unfortunately, they probably need to look into for a right back.
Well, you mentioned a player who won't be playing for Almaty next week, Sapayev, the young 17-year-old who will be joining Chelsea next summer. He really was excellent in flashes, and this is a real bout of naivety, isn't it?
It is. It's only 17. You can see that he just wanted to obviously hear the final whistle from the referee, and then he stick his legs out and his leg out, and then he gets his second yellow card, and he's going to miss out. But what a great player he is. It's going to be interesting to see him next year in playing for Chelsea.
Yeah, and that came right on the stroke of almost full time, so he'll be particularly disappointed to miss out. But Celtic have proved, haven't they, that they can do this time and time again. They've done it the hard way in the past, and would you back them to do it again this time?
I do. I think Brendan and his staff is going to build in this confidence in that, and the belief that what they did in last year's campaign Champions League, where they really played well away from home, and they were a threat, and they were a bit more pragmatic or more clever, I would say, than always play the same typical football. They were a bit more, pragmatic and cynical, and they got the rewards for it. And I think they're going to bring that with them, and they really need to be leaders coming out now, because this is a massive game for the club and for everyone, associated to Celtic. Even if I'm not going to say that Celtic are favourites now. It's a 50-50 tie, but I can definitely see them, and I expect them to go there and get the results. I do.
OK, well, I'm sure that's the confidence that all the Celtic fans will be hoping to hear from you, Johan. Brendan Rodgers, what does he make of all of this? At times, he kind of frustrated.
Brendan only halfway in this tie, but I guess the reaction of the supporters suggests they feel it was a missed opportunity. Do you?
Yeah, I think when you play at home at this stage and at this level, then of course we want to take an advantage. We didn't do that, but I've also been here before. We've in a qualification game, and we drew 0-0 with Rosenborg here a few years back and went on and played really well in the away leg. So we're going to have to do that out there, and but we'll certainly need to play better than what we did in the first half. So the first half we were very passive and lacked belief and were slow, and everything that has been good in our game up until this point wasn't there. Second half was much better, but we just lacked that little bit of quality in the final third.
Can you put your finger on why that was, given the fact that you'd set the intention, you wanted that intensity, and given the magnitude of the game?
Yeah. No, sometimes it happens. Sometimes you can overthink it. I mentioned that before. It's a big game. We know the consequence of it, but I expected us in the first half to be much cleaner and much better, with much more intensity in our game. And I just felt that we weren't thinking so much in the game. We were just in autopilot a little bit and lost the connections in the game and the speed. Didn't move well enough as a team. So we had to correct that at half time, and we had a much better response right from the off in the second half, and then at the post and a couple of other little moments where we were close, but just, as I said, we just lacked that little bit of quality that you need to break them down.
With 2 shots on target, I think, with my last count. Do you think if there's progression in this tournament and you get through to the Champions League, the current iteration of this team, the way it is going to be enough to do what you tried to do last year?
No, I've said it clear, and I can't keep going on about it. Every press conference I have, it's so clear what this team needs, and
I guess it just highlights it a little bit more tonight.
Well, the nights they got doors, and it's always going to each level that you go through. Each level you go through at this level, this is a good team that understands the game, and have got some really good players. And they've got a young winger who's going to Chelsea next season, so they're talented players and they're used to winning. So, but we know where we have to improve.
I know you've said it and you've spoken openly about it in press conferences. The fans it's been a while since we've heard a chant of sack the board at Celtic Park, but that's what we were hearing tonight. They're frustrated, I think, some of them saying about the lack of spending. Do you think that the board will listen to that and listen to what you're saying and listen to what the fans are clearly saying? I
don't know. I can only concentrate on the team that we have. Currently, I can't get too distracted by what I don't have.
You can understand what the fans are
yeah, absolutely. But I also understand when they sack the board. I don't know any board that gets sacked. It's normally the manager. In any club where I ever see it, it's the manager that gets the sack. It's not the board. So, but listen, we have to go in, analyse tonight, and see where we could be better. And then, like I said, the guys that are out there, and especially the top end of the pitch, they're giving their all. They're giving everything. But like we've said many times, in order to progress at this level and into European football, then we need to have more. It's as simple as that. So, but we won't have that for Tuesday. But we get a concentration now for Saturday. It's a big game here against Livingston. We'll obviously make changes to freshen up the team, and then obviously a mammoth journey starting Sunday, and hopefully it can end with the Champions League group stage.
Will you be doing that without Alistair Johnston? Do we know how he is?
I don't, but it looked like a hamstring, which is a real shame because he started the season so well.
Appreciate your time, Brendan.
Pleasure.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Well, a very honest assessment from Brendan Rodgers. His 800th game as a manager here this evening obviously didn't go exactly how he wanted it. How do you interpret his comment, it's not the boards that get sacked, it's the managers?
He's very correct in that in that area. But
is he having a little? Is he almost making his feelings clear there?
No, I think he's very honest here, and he's got so much experience, Brendan, and had a lot of success in football. I think it's been very clear that he wants reinforcements, he wants signings, in a couple of positions. Unfortunately, maybe another one now with Alistair Johnson getting injured. But at the same time, he's the manager. He's dealing with obviously he's dealing with the board, and I think they've certainly identified a lot of players that they want to get in. The problem for Celtic is because they are not obviously having the Premier clubs, down in the UK, England, with the Premiership, the riches of them, the money. So they have to shop around in like 2 to 10 million.
Does he
and
need
it's not really easy to
sufficiently
find.
Backed though by the board in order to be able to do his job?
No, I think the board had made Brendan Rodgers work harder and more difficult because I think they should have get signings in much earlier. Even if they had a few signings, but we're talking about like 3 million altogether that they've spent. So it would have been easy, for him to then already have a team that he's formed and shaped and is bedded in, in the way he wants to play. Yes, definitely. I think he's earned the right to already gotten them players in.